the NBA Finals, they are set. Over the weekend, the Indiana Pacers absolutely dominated the New York Knicks 125-108 to advance to the NBA Finals. This is further proof that I was wrong and I've misjudged and miscalculated the Pacers the whole time this year. What do I mean by that? My last video cut that I did for one of my live streams, it's still up right now. I'm not going to hide from it. I said that the Pacers were an easy bet to win Game 5. Not Game 6, which they won. Game 5 in New York. Why did I think they win Game 5 in the Garden? I said they were going to play with a sense of urgency because they wanted more rest after OKC had clinched Game 5 the day before. I also said that Karl Anthony Towns being hurt was going to be a big issue for them. And I just never trusted Tom Thibodeau. I thought he had tired out his team to a certain degree. And the Pacers and the Knicks were both better on the road than at home. So I had a lot of reasons to believe that the Pacers would beat the Knicks in Game 5. Didn't happen. Pacers took a night off. I said that was a mistake. I said they don't want to take a night off because you never know what's going to happen and you need this rest. Well, boy, was I wrong on that, because during Game 6, they pretty much handled it. New York hung around in the first half, but Indiana on Saturday really pulled away in the third quarter, and that wasn't going to change. Tyrese Halliburton was the star with 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 13 assists, a double-double for Halliburton himself. But the star overall was Pascal Siakam, who had 31 points, 3 blocks, 3 assists to steal. I mean, Pascal Siakam was the stat patter for the year for the Pacers, and I don't mean that in a negative way, by the way. So with that in mind, it's not shocking that he stood out in this one, and he made sure that they put this one away, and the Pacers are going to the NBA Finals for the first time in 25 years. And the last time they went to the Finals, they faced one of the greatest teams of all time, the original Shaq Kobe Lakers. Of course, Kobe was not Kobe at that point. He was entering his prime, but he wasn't in his prime. But Shaq was at peak Shaq form. Okay, that Shaq was the one that won his only regular season MVP, won the Finals MVP, I believe won the All-Star Game MVP, was literally unstoppable. 99-2000 Shaq is the most dominant player in the history of the NBA. I really don't think there's any close second, honestly. Now, it didn't last, but at the same time, 99-2000 Shaq did have an insane year. I thought he should have won MVP, believe it or not, in 2000-2001, but the year Allen Iverson won it. But at the same time, I understand why they didn't give it to him, because there was such a the reason though was there was such a drop off. Here's the weird part about 99-2000 Shaq. There was such a drop off from his dominance in 2001. There was such a drop-off in 2000-2001 from his dominance in 99-2000 that they felt they couldn't give him the MVP for that, which is kind of crazy to think about. But that 99-2000 Shaq was still, again, the most dominant Shaq I've ever witnessed. And I really don't think anybody comes close. But with that said, I bring all that up to say that's the caliber of team the Pacers are facing once again in the NBA Finals. As a matter of fact, they're facing a better caliber team. The 99-2000 Lakers went 67-15. These OKC Thunder went 68-14. The only teams to have better records than the Oklahoma City Thunder this year would be the 2 Chicago Bulls teams that won it all in 95, 96, 96, 97. Michael Jordan's the first and second titles of Michael Jordan's second three-peat. And also the LA Lakers of 71-72 that went 69-13. OKC's in that tier. Oh, and then of course Golden State, which has the best regular season record of all time, went 73-9 in 2015 and 2016, only to lose the NBA Finals. Okay, I'm going to say this. Respect to Indiana for doing what they needed to do. OKC is not going to lose this NBA Finals. They are a lock to win it, guys. I'm sorry, they are a lock. And I'm going to bring up some stats for you guys that I think are a little bit underrated. We talk clutch gene a lot, but I don't think we understand exactly what clutch gene means. There is in the playoffs a level of drop-off for everybody involved, no matter how good or bad you are, because the competition increases in the playoffs, okay? And the now, I don't mean raw scoring, because in the playoffs with the shortened rotation, most people up their scoring in the playoffs. I mean, Michael Jordan was averaging in the 40s in the playoffs. I mean, I believe for his career, Michael Jordan averaged 33.4 points in the playoffs, 30.1 points during the regular season. So on paper, that makes you think, oh, he averaged so much more in the playoffs. He was a clutch playoff performer. But with shortened rotations, your usage rate goes up, so it's really hard to make that case. On a general scale, though, everybody's production somewhat drops in the playoffs. Now, again, Michael Jordan, that is where he's a rarity. His production actually did increase in the playoffs. His PER went up almost a whole point in the playoffs, for that matter. And he's probably one of the only ones that you could say that about. I do believe LeBron's also went up a point in the playoffs. LeBron is another one of the more, believe it or not, I don't care what anybody says, LeBron's one of the more clutch players in the history of the NBA. And there's proof of that. LeBron's PER in the playoffs goes up for his career a whole point from what it is for his career regular season. His win shares per 48 minutes go from 221 to 231. Again, a whole 10 points. His box plus minus goes from 8.5 up to 10 in the playoffs. And his true shooting percentage goes from 590 down to 584. So he has a bit of a dip in his true shooting percentage, but everywhere else, he has a massive increase in his production. And he has all-time records in playoff win shares, playoff value over replacement, playoff offensive win shares. There's no denying that LeBron is one of the most clutch players of all time. As a matter of fact, there's a strong case to make that LeBron is more clutch than Michael Jordan, while Michael Jordan is still just a better player. And nobody thinks about it that way. People say LeBron's the better player, but Michael Jordan's the more clutch player. I actually think it might be the reverse, but Michael Jordan's clutch enough that you would still take Michael Jordan if you look at the overall data. I'm digressing. The point is, when you look at clutch gene, you need to look at, are you still productive enough? Because the reason I bring all this up is everybody talks about Tyrese Halliburton's clutch gene versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and what they can do. Tyrese Halliburton does only have a 1-point drop in his PER, though. His win shares per 48 minutes drop about 16 points. His value over replacement drops about 0.3 points, box plus minus. And then his true shooting percentage drops about 34 points. To be fair, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's PER drops 3.5 points. His win shares per 48 minutes drops over 60 points, over 0.6 points if you want to be fair. And his box plus minus drops 2.6 points. But here's where you got to be real clear with clutch genes. While Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has major drops in all the advanced metrics in playoff basketball compared to Tyrese Halliburton, they're all significantly higher than Tyrese Halliburton's. Okay? As a matter of fact, they are significantly higher than anybody else on the Pacers. And he's not the only one who's in that situation, okay? Because if there is a guy who may somewhat step up his game in the postseason, those two people would be, let's be very clear on this, Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, whose clutch gene goes to a level that Tyrese Halliburton's does not in terms of advancing. And I think with that in mind, you have to say that Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren up their play. Just for the record, Chet Holmgren's PER this playoff specifically is actually higher, because it's 20.3, than his regular season PER, which was 19.2. Higher by a full point. Jalen Williams has a PER at 20.3 for the regular season, and it drops to 19.6. So he has a 0.7 drop, but not that significant. Actually, not as significant as Tyrese Halliburton's drop. So Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren actually elevate their play in the playoffs, or maintain it better than Tyrese Halliburton does. They're clear weapons. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has had a significant, somewhat drop, but even with that drop, still way better than Tyrese Halliburton's. So with that in mind, I think Oklahoma City, they win this in 5 games, guys. They win this in 5 games. I've got Oklahoma City winning this series in 5 games, walking away with the title. They are the best team in basketball. They are 68-14 for a reason. They have had a great week off for rest. Now, the only way they might not win it in 5 is they could lose the first game at home because they've just been off for so long. They may be rusty going into this game. But in general, the long story short of this is I think Oklahoma City wins this series fairly comfortably. It's either 5 or 6 games, depending on what happens in game 1. If they lose game 1, which again, they could lose because they might be rusty, it's 6 games. If they win it in 5. So that's where I am with Oklahoma City. But that's just bad luck for the Pacers. That's the second time in their history that they made the NBA Finals against a historically great team. And yes, OKC is a historically great team. This is the best team I've witnessed since the mid-2010s Warriors teams that should have won back-to-back titles before they got Kevin Durant. And before that, you do have to go all the way back to the Shaq Kobe Lakers to look at somebody that's invincible. First Miami Heat team that won it with LeBron might be on that level, but they didn't even have home court advantage. So it just didn't seem as dominant. This Pacers team is just straight up dominant. I'm sorry, this Thunder team is just straight up dominant. They're winning this in 5 or 6. Again, all depending on what happens in game 1.